All right, let's start with the big story that we're tracking on WION at this hour, where there's been yet another mass rally where people have begun congregating in Hong Kong. Now, these are live visuals that we are getting from Hong Kong, where, remember, yesterday after the climb down, the Hong Kong's chief executive officer who stated that the contentious extradition bill that would have allowed the government to, in fact, extradite, to strike a deal with China to extradite a resident of Hong Kong to be tried under the Chinese law that was suspended. But despite that, the people have again gathered today. The demand is that Carrie Lam should go. Now, the unprecedented anger refuses to abate following the clashes between the protesters and the police over the extradition law, despite the chief executive, Carrie Lam, having suspended the bill. Now, succumbing to protests, Lam, who is a supporter of the bill, had admitted that there were, at this point of time, certain inadequacies in the legislation. There needs to be more consensus, there needs to be more dialogue, and she has also stated that she will take the people of Hong Kong along with her. Now, these were unprecedented scenes that were witnessed over the course of the last week. There were also violent clashes between the police and the supporters. And according to some estimates, almost about 1 million people had turned out on the streets of Hong Kong to, in fact, protest against the extradition bill that had been tabled. Now, in what is being seen as a big win for the protesters in Hong Kong on Saturday, the government suspended a proposed law on extradition to mainland China. Remember, this is, of course, the bill that sparked widespread anger and violent demonstrations over the course of the last few days. Now, the top Hong Kong leader on Saturday has said that the bill will incorporate both the views of the society and also that of the lawmakers.
To pass the bill in this legislative year is perhaps no longer there. After our repeated internal deliberations over the last 2 days, I now announce that the government has decided to suspend the legislative amendment exercise, restart our communication with all sectors of society, do more explanation work, and listen to different views of society. I want to stress that the government is adopting an open mind to heed comprehensively different views in society towards the bill.
All right, but the opposition leaders have refused to retreat if the controversial extradition bill is not withdrawn completely. Remember, at this point of time, the bill has only been suspended, and as we heard from Carrie Lam, the chief executive of Hong Kong, she has said that this bill will not turn into a legislation this time round. But that does not mean that Carrie Lam has given any kind of an affirmation that the bill will be completely withdrawn. And this is exactly what a number of protesters who have gathered for yet another huge rally today are demanding, that this bill has to be struck down completely.
If she refuses to withdraw, to scrap this controversial bill altogether, it would mean we wouldn't retreat. She stays on, we stay on, because her so-called the commitment here, it's completely lacking in sincerity.
All right, so that is what the protesters are demanding, that this bill needs to be scrapped completely, as this will erode the autonomy of Hong Kong. The massive turnouts are expected even today at the Black March that has been planned. The civil rights activist Bonnie Leong has asked the protesters to keep up the pressure until the legislation is entirely withdrawn.
We want the international community to know that although that Carrie Lam has postponed the extradition bill, but under the current system, our system do not allow the people or even the pan-democratic legislative councillors to stop the extradition bill from passing. In fact, in 12 days, the government can restart the extradition bill, can restart the whole legislation process. Therefore, we urge the international community to keep concerning about the situation in Hong Kong.
And also, one of the other demands of the protesters is that the chief executive, Carrie Lam, should resign and also permanently scrap the plan. So the question, of course, is why was this extradition bill so controversial? Now, the bill is concerned, has in fact raised concerns of many in Hong Kong, as it will now allow residents to be sent to China for a trial. And these are residents of Hong Kong who are governed, remember, by a large amount of autonomy within Hong Kong, despite the fact that Hong Kong is now Chinese territory. Opponents say that China's justice system is marked by torture, enforced confessions, arbitrary detentions and also limited access to lawyers. The extradition bill, if made into a law, is expected to cover Hong Kong's 7 million residents. Critics have said that although through the law, China could target political opponents, they've also said that the bill could pose a threat to Hong Kong's semi-autonomous status. But Hong Kong's top leader Carrie Lam has backed the law, citing that human rights will be protected by the city's courts and it will be Hong Kong's courts which will decide on a case-by-case basis as to which individual will be extradited to China.